In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over the knots. Now, we have the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut, and they're pretty different, but since they have the same stats from the same kit, I decided to kind of roll them up into one video. So this might be a little long, we'll see. So, the basic stats of a Morkanaut or Gorkanaut is they have 8-inch move, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 8, toughness 8, 18 wounds. The number of attacks are different, but leadership 7 and a 3-up armor save. So the main difference is the only difference in stats is the Gorkanaut is a close combat, so it has 6 attacks, goes down to 4, and the Morkanaut has 4 attacks, goes down to 2. So that's actually quite a bit of difference between the two as far as their close combat ability goes, which is kind of a shame. So the Morkanaut comes with a custom mega cannon. They both come with 2 twin big shooters and 2 rocket launches. The Morkanaut comes and the Claw of Mork or Gork. So the Morkanaut comes with the custom mega cannon and the custom mega blaster, and the Gorkanaut comes with the Deathstorm mega shooter and a Scorcha. So let's talk about the differences. Let's see. They both have Here We Go, which is nice. They reroll charge distances. They explode in a 9-inch range, 9-inch bubble on the explosion, so they can be quite deadly if you roll at 6. And they're bigger, stompy. This model can fall back in your movement phase and still shoot and or charge during your turn. In addition, you can move and fire heavy weapons without suffering the penalty to hit rolls. This model only gains bonus saving throws for being in cover of at least half of the models obscured from the firer. So both those rules apply to both of them. And it is a transport. It can carry 6 Ork infantry, or Mega Armor jump packs takes the space of 2 models. And it is not Titanic or anything like that, so it's just a vehicle transport with Ork clan. So pretty slim on the keywords, but that's fine. So they will start up at ballistic skill or weapon skill 3. So the 3 things that change are movement, weapon skill, and attacks. Weapon skill goes from 3 to 4 to 5. Movement goes from 8 to 6 to 4. So what's the difference between the two? The biggest difference, of course, is the number of attacks to me, because the Claw of Gork has the smash ability where it is strength user, which is 8, AP minus 2, 2 damage, and make 3 to hit rolls for each attack instead of 1. So that means if you have a undamaged Gorkanaut, you're throwing out 18 attacks at strength 8, AP minus 2, and 2 damage. The other option is the Crush, which is strength times 2, so that would be strength 16, AP minus 4, and D6 damage per attack. You know what? I've never used that. Even against tougher targets, I've always used the Smash because there's just so many more attacks. And, you know, D6, you only get maybe 1 more damage per attack on average. 1 to 2. Not worth it. I'd rather have 3 times the attacks. So, I think Smash is the only way to use the close combat weapon. And the Morkanaut also has the additional option of being able to equip a custom force field to the model itself. So what that does is it allows you to project a very large bubble of the KFF, because it's going to be measuring from the base of the Gorkanaut or the Morkanaut, which is going to be quite big. So if you're running a Dread Mob, for instance, a Morkanaut with a KFF is almost an auto include, as far as I'm concerned, just for the sheer size of that KFF field. It's going to be way bigger than anything a mech alone can do. And to be honest, that's really the only reason to take a Morkanaut. Its shooting is incredibly lackluster, with only a custom Mega Blaster and a custom Mega Cannon. What makes a custom Mega Cannon so good on the artillery is that you can take 5 of them and they're hitting on 4s. This you only have 1 and it's hitting on 5s. So while the custom Mega Cannon is awesome in the mech guns, on the Morkanaut it's just meh. And same with custom Mega Blaster. And of course, you're going to be probably giving yourself mortal wounds trying to shoot with these things. So the Morkanaut is a pretty expensive way to take a force field. And that's really its main role, is it is a support choice instead of a primary offensive weapon in and of itself. And so that's a lot of points for support. Now the plus side is it does have a transport capacity of 6. So if you are running a dread mob, you can put your characters inside it to keep them safe for a turn or two. So you can have your weird boy and your Warbanner Knob and your war boss. Even the mech itself, if you really wanted to. A mech or a big mech. Actually, you can put a couple little mechs in there too for repairs. Inside the Morkanaut on your first turn. Keep them safe if you need to. And also allows them to run up the field faster than if they were on foot. Just something to keep in mind. That's the way I use the transport capacity of the Morkanaut. It's not really useful for, I mean, you can put 3 Mega Knobs in it. You can do that. Maybe 5 Burners. But that's about it. It doesn't really provide a whole lot of usefulness for the transport capacity. And it never did. It just was kind of there before. So, but the Deathstorm Mega Shooter, though, on the other hand, is something completely different. And I love this gun. So the Deathstorm Mega Shooter is heavy 36-inch range, heavy 3d6, strength 6, AP -1, 1 damage. That's actually did some work, surprisingly, considering that you're hitting on 5s. But it's basically the same stats as the guns on the Dakajet. Except instead of getting 18 shots per gun, you get 3d6. So you can get up to 18 shots. Of course, Dakajet usually hits on 4s. But so if I was going to run one, I'd probably always run the Gorkanaut. The Morkanaut did get a price drop in Chapter Approved. It's still way too expensive for being basically a giant support monster that is going to attract every last cannon on the board. Same with the Gorkanaut, but the Gorkanaut is actually worth it, I think, to be on the board versus the Morkanaut, because I'd still rather have a Gorkanaut and a big mech with KFF on bike or 2 than a Morkanaut. I've played both, and those fewer attacks in close combat are just quite annoying on the Morkanaut. I find those to be a huge downside to the Morkanaut. I mean, toughness 8 is nice, strength 8 is nice. I mean, the Claw of Gork is just an amazing close combat weapon. Of Gork, or possibly Mork. Or Mork, or possibly Gork. Anyway, it's an amazing close combat weapon. Pure and simple. As I said, I've never used the Crush. Smash is just, I mean, if you have a Gorkanaut with a Warbanner Knob, you got 18 attacks hitting on 2s, wounding everything on 2 or 3. Almost everything on 2 or 3. At 2 damage each. You are just going to just annihilate whatever it touches. And the Deathstorm Mega Shooter can actually do some work before it gets there. You know, and 12 big shooter shots. It doesn't hurt either. I mean, you can always try and plink something off with that. So, I definitely think the Gorkanaut is really the only way to go if you're actually going to field one of these things. And a KFF is also an absolute must-have. And that pretty much wraps up my evaluations of the Gorkanaut Morkanaut. I mean, the model is cool, of course. The 18 wounds and toughness 8 can actually be quite resilient against a lot of things. But it can also go down in a hurry if you get unlucky on your KFF saves. Because obviously you're not going to take one of these without a KFF. And a mech to repair them as well. So, I've played both. I love the Gorkanaut. The Morkanaut is okay. And I said, I think the Morkanaut has far more downsides and a whole lot less damage output than the Gorkanaut does, just overall. Both in shooting and in close combat. And it's not cheaper enough to make up for that, despite having the KFF itself on there. But, you know, the KFF, the huge KFF bubble is nice, but, you know, I'd still rather have 2 mechs on bikes and a Gorkanaut than a Morkanaut, despite the additional points. So, do you have any experience with either one of these monsters? I think they're cool. They're okay. And, you know what? I don't know if there's any way that's going to be able to be fixed in the next codex, except to give them an inherent invulnerable save. In fact, I just don't see how anything can be fixed in in the codex without inherent invulnerable saves. But because there's just so much shooting out there. So that's the Nauts. They're cool, not top tier competitive, but a lot of fun to play with. And if you ever get a Gorkanaut into close combat at its full attacks, it's just deadly. The Morkanaut, not so much. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orcs. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orcs videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.